All right, welcome back for another episode of Hidden Gems. This is the video series where I talk about those books that are still probably tucked away in those back issue boxes, back in those bins that nobody's been looking at for a while. These aren't the hot books that are on top 10 lists that are getting sold all over the place. These are books that are generally forgotten about, often underpriced and undervalued, that can still be hidden away in those cheap boxes. Not necessarily dollar books. These could be priced books, but books that are most likely just underappreciated, undervalued, and like I said, underpriced, that are hidden away in a back issue box somewhere possibly near you. So what I like to do is I present you with the information of how much books are selling for, as well as what the market is asking for on certain books. And if you find them in your shop, you make that call of whether you want to buy it for yourself or not. Hopefully you're enjoying this series as well as everything else here on the channel. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Please like, subscribe, hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. Keep telling your friends so we can keep growing the channel. We are getting closer and closer to the 2K every day. And once we hit that, we will be doing another giveaway. I just am in the middle of doing a giveaway for my dollar bin digging. So if you haven't joined in on that one, make sure you watch this past Friday's dollar bin digging video right in the open. I tell you what you need to do to get entered into a free giveaway for some really cool books. So go check that out if you haven't seen it or entered already. And I will be drawing somebody when I film that on Thursday for this week. So you still have some time. And with that all said, if you want to see what books I'm talking about this week for Hidden Gems, just hang on for a few seconds after the intro, and I will be right back. All right, so for this week, I'm going to shift it up a little bit. I know you guys have probably gotten used to the recent routine with the categories, and I'm still doing the categories, mind you, but I have started off the last several weeks doing a quick artist retrospective. I'm taking a pause this week just to try something else, just a little bit different, just for this 1 week, and just see how this also flows. Again, still going to do categories, still going to hit up some of your favorite stuff and favorite topics, but not doing a specific artist this week to open the show. Instead, I'm going to be opening with variants. And I'm going to be opening with variants because I'm going to be kind of spotlighting a run of variants that you can still probably find out there for a very, very decent price. These are all low incentive ratios, as I like to do. I'm not talking about 1 in 50s, 1 in 25s, anything like that. These are things that a lot of shops would have easily qualified for. These are books that are plentiful. They're not hard to find, not like impossible to find in any way like that. They're just books that are out there that you can still probably find on the cheap, and probably and could be priced a little bit higher on the aftermarket than what you might actually find in a box or a shop near you. So because sometimes these things get overlooked. They don't know that they are actually variants. And I'm talking about some of these Justice League 1 in 10s. We are specifically going to start off with the kickoff of this run. And this was a very heavily printed series, a very popular series for DC at the time. So there are plenty of these out there. Again, that's not why I'm pointing these out. I'm pointing these out because these are 1 in 10s and books that you can find still in those boxes, and sometimes just for regular cover price or marked like they're just regular issues. But meanwhile, they are 1 in 10, so they are significantly less rare than the regular old copies. But that's it. I just like some of these covers because they're pretty cool, and a couple of things like some artists like Michael Turner here on issue 1, and then you can go through again. We're gonna just look at the beginning of this series for now, because there are some other 1 in 10s that come later in the Justice League run, but we're just gonna kind of start off at the top again with Michael Turner, and then you see that number 2. You got the Red Tornado featured there. A lot of different artists taking shots on these covers. Just League of America number 3, you got a Superman for on that 1 in 10. Now, these first couple of issues, again, very heavily printed. A lot of issues printed. New series is Justice League, after all. It was the flagship title of DC for a while there. So there are copies. And these are still pretty cheap. You can look at copies sold recently, in the last couple of months. 99 cents some of these sell for online. $5. $5. Again, 1 in 10s for a half ratio isn't too bad. Just pointing that out. And then even some of the asking prices, if you can find them out there, you can see the inconsistency of prices where they could be as cheap as $3, $8, or up to $15. Like, prices are kind of all over the place. But these are just some fun books. And like I said, these are 1 in 10s that often get overlooked. And you can tell that they're variants once again by checking that barcode on on the front there. So we'll zoom in right here for you. You can see this barcode is telling you what this is. This is issue 1, the second cover, first print. So this is the first printing. It's the second cover. That's what the 2 means in that second spot there. So this is the variant, the 1 in 10 variant, which is what happens to be. And then again, for issue 1. And you'll see that barcode change as you go through the run. But if that number 2 is in that second spot, that means it's a variant. And this is back in the days of DC when they weren't doing B covers for everything. If it was a variant, that meant it was an incentive of some kind or another, whether you know off the top of your head what the ratio is or not. You can find it out there online if you do some little bit of research. But you don't have to worry about that because I did the research for you. 1 in 10s for these first few. And we're going to bump on over to the next couple because the next couple, this next 3 issue run is probably one of my favorites because these 3 artists, fantastic covers. Starting with issue 4, this 1 in 10, you got J.G. Jones. I know I've talked about this cover once, a couple of times before, I believe, in different spots. I know I picked this for 3 Comic Money way back in the day. If you guys remember that show that we used to do a couple of years ago with me, Chris Nelms, Mike Morello, Ben C, John Z, we used to come up with a topic and everybody would bring 3 books to the table to cover that topic and just kind of show off some comics. It was a lot of fun, and it was how actually I got started into doing more of this video stuff here on on the interwebs, onto YouTube, was by connecting with my comic book buddies while we were all locked down during the pandemic. That's how I really got started doing this, because I mean I had been writing for CBSI for a while now, but really getting onto YouTube was thanks to getting together with my comic buddies and doing some of that stuff for fun. And I'm still having fun doing this, and hopefully you guys are still enjoying this as well. But side note aside, this is number 4. Like I said, J.G. Jones cover. Love this cover, but the other 2 should not be ignored either. We got an Art Adams on number 5 with Hawkgirl, and then Adam Hughes, Black Canary on number 6, which is another fantastic book. Again, low ratio incentives, easy to find out there. There are copies to be had. It's just sometimes they can be a little more pricey because these are more popular, I guess, artists, a little more in demand. Print runs a little bit less, but still pretty solid. You can see copies of these selling for like $7, $10, but that Hughes can go upwards of over 30 to 40 bucks. So keep that in mind as well. Good luck, out there finding it, but they can be found. But like I said, don't ignore, just because of Hughes, because everybody knows the Hughes, don't ignore this J.G. Jones or that Art Adams, because those are fantastic covers, in my opinion as well. And who knows, anything could cause books to spike these days. So if you like it, just get it for a price that you're comfortable with. Keep it in your PC now before things, could get out of hand, just because somebody else starts talking about a book and then everybody starts searching for them. But with that said, you can again see the market is where it is: $5, $10, 30 on that Hughes, because like I said, that's the one that everybody kind of gravitates towards. But don't ignore the others; they are all 1 in 10s, so the ratio is all the same for them. But like I said, I particularly like that J.G. Jones for one reason or another. That Vixen, I don't know. Vixen doesn't have a ton of covers. There's this one, and I really like that Middleton on her issue 5. I think of that mini that she had, but not a lot of Vixen covers out there, so this is one of my favorites for her. That was the next 3 issues. Now let's jump for then another 3 issues where we have 1 in 10s, and there's a couple of good ones in this as well. Here's a Michael Turner Wonder Woman hitting us up at number 7 on Justice League of America, and then we get a couple of others that you wouldn't even know. I don't think anybody would even know that these were variants because they don't have that variant feel. It's just another cover in a lot of cases, but these are all 1 in 10s and still incentive covers that you should probably know for issues 8 and 9. So you get some of the Justice Society showing up here in this bit of a crossover, but that Turner is probably the nicest looking cover out of this group. I would think this group of 3. I kind of broke these up into chunks of 3 just at the outset. What we're looking at here, since that's a Turner cover, it's hitting like $10 online, while the others could sell for as cheap as $2 or $15. But mind you, that $15 was for a CGC 9.8 for that Justice League of America number 9 variant. $15. It cost more to grade. That person lost money. They paid somebody to have that book graded and gave it to them, because it costs more than that to grade that book, let alone the cost of the comic inside. So definitely lost money there on that one, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. But that's what happens when you auction out books, again, that no one is looking for. You're most likely going to get one bid, if any. So maybe just listen it by now and take offers. That might be a better approach. I know I've said that before, said that many times, and I just keep showing you guys evidence of why you should do that if you are out there trying to sell, some of your extra comics like I do on occasion. That said, so those are what's sold recently on this group of three. Asking prices again in that $3 to kind of 12, $17 range. So some of the prices could be up a little higher, a little over ratio, over that 1 in 10 ratio. But in a lot of cases, you can see you can even find these cheap online for $2.55. And that $2.55 also has 15 watchers on it, by the way. So there's 15 people hemming and hawing debating on whether they want to spend less than cover price on a 1 in 10 incentive at $2.55. Just saying. Now, we're going to go do one more group of three before we end this little start of the Justice League of America run. Again, this run had what, like 60, 70 issues thereabouts. There's another couple of runs of incentives that we'll get to at another time. Another time, we'll look at them down the line because there are some cool ones and some good ones to be aware of that are also only 1 in 10 incentives. So we'll get back to those. But for today, we're just doing these next three issues 10, 11, and 12. Here's issue 10, featuring Power Girl kind of front and center. Again, continuing that Justice Society crossover. And then we're getting a pretty cool Arsenal over on the side there, Red Arrow, I guess we could also call them. And then issue 12, which is another Turner to kind of finish off that first year of Justice League of America with these incentive variants. And again, just giving you ballpark ideas on some of the prices here. Look, a 9.8 for that Red Arrow sold for $35 for 9.8 with one bid. As I told you, only one bid. Not surprised. And then only like $5 for that Justice League 12. We're going to look at that Justice League 12 again because that actually had a pretty cool Alex Ross cover on the front of it, and actually A and a B. So the 1 in 10 is actually technically the C cover in this case. So be mindful of that too when you check that barcode because it's going to be a number 3 in that spot for the incentive. And then asking prices on these things. Again, you see they're all very cheap right now. $2.24, $3.50, $3. All cover price or less for 1 in 10 incentives. I don't know. Not saying that these have to be worth anything or they're going to be worth anything. I just think it's interesting that these low ratio incentives can still be that cheap for those cheap prices. I'm just saying. Again, I have and you can find these in dollar bins if you go out and look. So that's what I'm kind of talking about. If they're cheap enough, you like it, go ahead and pick it up. But you're probably not going to be making a lot of money on these because I doubt these will ever really hit more than, say, that Hughes has for issue 6. But it is what it is. But I just wanted to try something a little different and do a little bit of a variant run there to start us off instead of artists retrospective for this week. So let me know in the comments what you think. You want me to bring artists back? I'm kind of planning on bringing artists back the next couple of weeks because I have 2 picked out to do next. But still, let me know in the comments what you think. I take your guys' advice into consideration. I do listen to you. If you notice and watch these shows, I'll present a lot of books that you viewers have suggested to me. I don't know everything. I'm learning as well. I like researching and looking into this stuff. So when I hear stuff from you guys, I appreciate it. And I will keep everyone in the loop because that's what I think we should be doing. This is a community after all. I love sharing this information, just giving you guys some cool books to look at. And hopefully you enjoy that. And with that, we're moving to our next segment. In our next segment, we are going to be looking at later prints. These are the second prints, third prints, fourth, fifth, what have you going down the line. And we are going to start off with, as I mentioned, that Justice League 12, because even with that Alex Ross cover, A and B, there was a second print that kind of joined the A and B together, flipped it on its side, and here you have a nice painted Alex Ross cover on this second print for Justice League of America number 12. I'm not a huge fan when they put these sideways. I'd rather it just be a wraparound, but it is what it is. And I also don't know why they went this way with it. Usually when they go sideways, it's the other way. So when you flip the book open, it opens like, I don't know. This seems wonky to me, but that's the cover we got. And this particular book, yeah, does all right for a second print. There's collectors for these, so this can easily be a $20 find. So if you find this Justice League of America 12 in a box and it's marked like $2, $3, $1 bin even, hey, you might have found a nice $20 book because that's what it sells for. And if you look at what's available online, yes, there's copies asking 10, but there's also copies asking 25. So depending on condition and timing of when you are looking, you can find copies of this raw for 10 to 25 bucks or $180 for 9.8 is the ask right now. So just keep that in mind when you're out there digging. Or, like I said, just keep an eye out for this because this is a pretty sweet Alex Ross painted cover of the Justice League. So can't go wrong there if the price is right. Going to jump over to Amazing Spider-Man for Grim Hunt. We're going to be getting, Craven, whether we like it or not. We're going to be getting that movie. And let's look at some of these second prints because first prints are already doing well. There's a lot of Craven books that are still selling pretty well, even though I'm not expecting a lot out of that movie. But still, not easy to find some of these second prints for some of these some of these sections of the run in Amazing Spider-Man. So I know I keep coming back to Spidey, but there's a lot of second prints that are worth looking at. And same thing with Uncanny. So I'm going to be bouncing back to those titles often because there are still books to look at and be aware of. This one being one. This is what issue 634, Grim Hunt Part 1. Got this pretty cool second print. You can see if you open this up, this is a wraparound cover. Why they Black Bard bookended it, I don't know. I mean, he probably could have stretched the art out and really filled it out, but that's how I decided to go with this one. And this thing, as I mentioned, does all right. You can find this thing for $10, selling for. That's in a lot as well, but some of the asking prices could be a little bit more, $12 to $15 for this. Again, may not be setting the world on fire, but it's something to be aware of because this is a second print that starts a run that introduces some new characters in the Kraven mythos. So if the Kraven movie does hit, maybe we start seeing some of these other Kraven off characters introduced as well. I mean, maybe they show up in this first movie for all I know, but we'll see where it comes down the line. But a couple of these actually do sell pretty well later in the run because of that. But heating up Part 1, this one is still decently priced. And we're going to move on to the next issue in the run, issue 635. Pretty cool cover. Who did this? I'm trying to figure out the art on this. I don't know. I'm blanking for some reason. But Michael Lark? I think this might be Michael Lark. I know he did Daredevil for a good stretch and a pretty solid artist, pretty solid interior artist as well. Excellent storytelling ability. But with that, this one also sells for decent amount. But this is the only thing I could find was a 9/8 that sold for $80. That's for a 9/8, it's not too bad for second printing when you factor it in what the raw would have cost. I mean, the grading cost alone would have been at least $30. So you're at 50 for that second print. That's not too bad. But that aside, looking at what's available, you can get copies for $15 to $20. So maybe if you get a nice enough copy, maybe you could turn it into an $80 9/8. I don't know. But 15 to 22 is the ask right now for this particular one. Like I said, I kind of like it. Pretty cool image on the cover for this one for issue 635, this second print. And going to go to the next issue in the Grim Hunt series, 636. Spidey all posted on the wall there, along with the heads of the Rhinos and Kraven's other trophies, basically. 636, another second print to keep an eye on. This one does all right as well. It could sell as cheap as $350 at auction for a raw copy, or hitting like $70 for that 9/8. I don't know. So if you guys can find these in nice shape and get them graded, maybe you can make a few bucks because $15 for a raw one right now. And look, there's another 9/8 that only wants 55. I don't know. It is what it is. But the gem of this group of second prints is probably this issue and the last issue, this 637. This one, fantastic cover here. Fantastic cover to be sure. This one sells pretty well already. So best offer on $75, where they took 70 and then $100 for that 9/2 graded. And then asking prices, this thing's anywhere from like $50 to $60 for a raw. So keep this one in mind. Because this is the gem of this group. So be on the lookout for these ASM second prints. Like I said, I like them, and they are all pretty clear in being second print. They're not tricky with it. You can see it right here in the title, right here, just a second printing variant right at the top. So these ones make it easy for you to know if there are first or second prints. At least this time when Marvel was doing it. Now moving on, let's go hit up some not later printings, but reprints. Specifically reprints, because as I mentioned before when we talked about those Fantastic Four reprints, some series are straight up reprints. Like the entire title is meant to reprint older material. So it's not the second print. It's not like another edition of that book. It is a whole separate series that is dedicated to reprinting previous material. And Fantasy Masterpieces is one such title that reprints the Silver Surfer run here, the original, the OG Silver Surfer run. So Fantasy Masterpieces. The cover looks just like the original. It is a one-for-one reproduction, basically. But it is not a complete reprint, which I also found kind of fascinating. For whatever reason, it's missing 4 pages. So if you have the original book, the reprint is missing pages 6, 16, 19, and 24. I don't have a reason or rationale behind it. I'm sure there is. I'm sure somebody out there might even know. So if you do know why they did this, please put it down in the comments and share with the group, because I don't know offhand why they did this. But these reprints, and I'm going to go through a couple of more, are missing some pages for one reason or another. Now, what are we looking at here for these reprints? Again, Fantasy Masterpiece. This is a reprint. This is not a second printing of Silver Surfer #1. This is a straight up reprint. Uh, this thing can sell pretty well though. $27 at 10 bids for these are all raw. $61 with 10 bids, and then there was a best offer on one that was asking $100. And let's look at that price while we get the available copies. Look, they accepted $80 on that raw copy for this reprint of Silver Surfer 1. And then copies available right now are as cheap as $30, go up to 65, and still like that $100 mark, depending on grade and what you're looking for. But these are all raw. These are reprints of Silver Surfer 1, but these may be the only way many of us can afford this particular book. Granted, I do have an original Silver Surfer 1. I got it for a good price because it actually had a cover that was becoming detached, and then the seller even helped me out even more because a couple of the interior pages got detached as it got shipped to me, and they actually did me solid and sent me some money back because they didn't know those pages had become detached, because it's the original Silver Surfer book is a square bound book, so it has that glue that keeps it in there. So if somebody tries to press it, you can really mess it up if you don't know what you're doing. So don't go amateur pressing square bound books without being very, very careful, because you could ruin it. Just know, if you try to do it yourself, you could mess it up. And that said, let's keep looking at these fantasy masterpieces to look at some of the other highlights of the Silver Surfer run from the original series, and looking at issue 3. First, Mephisto. I mean, how many people were hunting this book for years with all the MacGuffins saying that Mephisto, Mephisto, Mephisto. WandaVision's going to be Mephisto, going to be in Doctor Strange, going to be here, going to be there. Still haven't seen him. But this book, even the reprint of this book, had started to do well for a while. It's since come back down from its much, much higher prices of old, but it is still a pretty solid reprint of that original issue. Again, it's missing pages 6, 7, 26, and 30 from the original. I don't know. But it also still does okay. Not as well as it used to do, but this is still a $25 to $30 selling reprint, which ain't too bad considering the prices that original had started to go for a while there. Everybody wanted a Silver Surfer #3. I did get one, and I got a low grade one to go with my whole low grade Silver Surfer collection, because that's all I can afford. So I do have I think a 3.5 or a 4 or something like that. But raw copies of the reprint, which I also do have this entire reprint run in my cabinet behind me. But $14 to like $30, or actually $10 to $30 is kind of the range right now. The asking prices, again, condition could be all over the place because these are older books. These were not well taken care of because they are also reprints. They weren't held with any reverence like the originals might have been. But that said, let's look at one more with Thor: Love and Thunder out this past weekend. Look at this famous Silver Surfer versus Thor on #4 cover. And again, it's a pretty solid, 1-for-1 reproduction of that original cover. But once again, it is missing only 3 pages on this one. Page 12, 22, and 29. Once again, don't know why the pages are missing, but they are. What does this one sell for? You can see a lot of these fantasy masterpieces. That's another way you can find these things too. Keep an eye out for lots. Keep an eye out for these, even in dollar bins. I found plenty of these in dollar bins. So you might find them priced in shops, but also keep an eye on those dollar bins for these fantasy masterpieces, because you can still find them. But you can see lots of a few. One bid got $44. 4 bids on that single issue there got $23 for some recent sales to show you. But asking prices, however, it's more like $30, $40, $45 for this classic Silver Surfer versus Thor cover on this one. So once again, you want to buy the original, it's going to cost you a few $100. Even in low grade, it costs you a couple $100. So maybe the fantasy masterpiece, this is your way to go. Not that I'm telling you to go spend $40 for this raw, for this reprint. I'm saying keep an eye on those back issue boxes. Maybe you can find it for cheap. Maybe you find it for a few bucks. And like I said, I have found them. You can find them too in those dollar bins if you go digging and hunting. So don't ignore them just because you go, what is this crap? It's some weird ass reprint. Who's going to want this? People do want these. So never leave them behind. You see a reprint of these classic books, because that's the only way some of us can afford these books. So if you see a reprint of AF15, buy it, because as long as it's cheap enough. Again, keep that in mind. The price is right. That's what I'm saying. Buy it. Don't go paying market. But that said, moving on. Got to keep this thing moving. Got to keep this train going. My nostalgia pick for this week is a toy line that I was a fan of. I like these little guys. And not talking about muscles. I'm talking about Battle Beasts. You guys remember these? The little armored animal characters, the anthropomorphic type characters. here's a picture just give you an idea. Some of them, they had a little holograms on their chest, kind of like the Transformers did, where you can highlight them and they would show you what type of um, specialty they had. They were like fire, water. They had, basically the elements. And then the idea behind them is that I think you could have these characters face off, and then like rock, paper, scissors. Water beats fire, fire beats earth, whatever it might. I don't remember exactly, but I think that was the idea behind it. I didn't play like that way. I didn't like lose my figures playing in some sort of battle that way, because it would be easy to figure it out if you knew the figures. But I did like collecting these things. They're pretty cool. They're cool little weapons. They're cool little dudes, and I liked having these, and I miss these. And some of these are still expensive if we want to talk toys, and maybe we will do that one of these days. But the comics are also something you should be mindful of. These are published from Blackthorn Publishing back in the day. So Battle Beast 1, you can see this thing can sell for as much as $100 raw, $40 raw, and it looks like 1 and 2 for $75. So this is not a cheap book, but who knows what you might find in a back issue box. You could find one cheap because it is Battle Beast. Oh, see, look, the fire, and then you got the wood, and then the water, and yeah, I think the wood beats the water beats the fire beats the wood. I don't remember, but that was it, if you guys do remember. Available copies on this as well, even online. $40, $70, $150 raw. Not cheap for this first issue, but who knows? You might find it at a shop that has it tucked away in a box, and you find it next to like the Macross and some of the other weird older stuff that's just, they have no place for it. It's a weird indie published title as it is. I'm not saying it's gonna be in a dollar bin. I mean, it could be, but just it could be in an odd spot, and it just might not be cared about by the shop, and you can find it undervalued, underpriced. Keep it in mind when you go looking for this thing. It was only, I think, a 4-issue run anyway, so keep an eye out for the rest of them as well. I'm just going to show you the other titles here. There's issue 2. I mean, bright colors as well on these covers. I mean, the art isn't the best. I will admit that. It's not the cleanest art out there. It definitely does have that cheaper indie kind of vibe feel to the art. It looks like Zen Intergalactic Ninja in a way. But you can see there with issue 3, issue 4, there it is. That's the entire run, I believe, of these. And you can still, if you can find any of them, if the price is right, keep them in mind, because they can all sell for about $20 individually online as well. You can see some of those recent sales, and asking prices could be $20, $25, and then it looks like, I think that might be the whole run for $232, all 4 issues, but still, that's not cheap. So once again, keep an eye out for those Battle Beasts. And with that, we have one more segment for this week, and we're going to hit up the oddities, because, I like talking about the oddball stuff. If Battle Beast wasn't odd enough for you, we do still have some oddball stuff to talk about. And what I want to bring up this week are some What The titles. I don't know if you remember What The, but that was kind of like Marvel spoof title, almost like their Mad Magazine type of the cracked type of comic book, where they did some kind of crazy mashups and told some crazy stories of some of their characters. And that's where we got introduced to some of the expanded universe for Spider-Ham in particular. So here with What The number 20, this is one you want to keep an eye out for, because this is the first appearance of Pork Grind. Pork Grind is Spider-Ham's Venom, basically. So if you're into Spider-Ham, and if maybe we get more into the Spider-Verse, who knows? Maybe we get Pork Grind. That would be kind of fun. I don't know if we will, but this book does all right, because some people are looking for this, and they are willing to pay a premium for it. So keep an eye on those cheap boxes in those back issue boxes, because I mean, $8, $10, $12 doesn't seem like a lot, but it's still, for a What The title that you might be able to find at a dollar bin or in a cheap box somewhere, just something to be mindful of. This issue 20, it sold for much more a while back, I think, when more people were talking about it. So maybe it's just gotten forgotten about a bit, but some of the asking prices are still kind of there, but anywhere from $15 to $20 to $30 on the market right now. So even though the cheap copies might sell, the asking prices are still kind of in that range of $20 to $30. So just keep that in mind when you're out there hunting. Even if you find it, and those were the asking prices, you might not be able to sell it for that as well. You might have to accept more on the lower end of these $10 sales, because those are the ones that are actually moving. So reconcile that when you make your decisions on whether you want to buy in or not on a book that you're looking to flip or sell. Just do that math and see if it's worth it to you. Keeping with got just a couple of What The titles just to talk about again, just for fun. It's kind of a silly book. We're in the oddities section. We're at the end of the show. Why not look at some of this crazy stuff? So here we got Thanos here cooking up all the characters on a big barbecue sauce. Again, Infinity Gauntlet time, so they're kind of spoofing Infinity Gauntlet a little bit. copies of this issue 24. Could sell 15 bucks thereabouts. That's kind of what this thing sells for online right now, and the asking prices are anywhere from 10 to 20 bucks. So still kind of in that range. So another one, if you find it cheap enough, it might be something just to consider picking up. And our last one is another Spider Ham connection, Spider Ham 2099 version, or is it 1588? I don't know. Being kind of silly with the cover. This is the final issue of What the, I believe. So that's why you get the Sayonara suckers on the cover for issue 26. Last issue's Commander Premium. So where's this one at? Issue 26. Well, 30 bucks, 25 bucks on its own. You can see a whole lot of 1 to 26 of all What the title sold for $166. It's not too bad. It's still 26 issues is a lot to go and collect to sell, but hey, it is what it is. Asking prices for this one again are in that kind of $30 range for that final issue of What the, for that first Spider Ham 2099. But still fun stuff, oddball stuff, weird stuff. Hopefully you enjoyed that, and hopefully you're still enjoying this series, and hopefully you didn't miss the artist retrospective too much. Again, I'm going to do it again next week. I forget who I have lined up, but I do have a couple of artists that I picked out some books to cover for the next 2 weeks. So occasionally I might drop a segment out, in and out, here or there, just to kind of mix things up and keep things fresh for myself too when I'm presenting this. So once again, hopefully you're enjoying it. Hopefully you're still enjoying the channel. Thanks for stopping by and checking this out. I do appreciate all of you. Hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you think, what you miss, any suggestions you might have. Like I said, I take it to heart. I take it into consideration, and I will be doing more little giveaways like I'm doing right now with that dollar bin giveaway. So go check out that video if you haven't already. Get yourself entered for that little prize pack for this Thursday's dollar bin video. I will be selecting a winner on Thursday out of who's already entered there, and announcing it on that Thursday video as well. So you'll know right away, and then I'll connect with you how to get your shipping info to get the books to you. But worry about that all later. That all said, once again, thank you once again. I will see you guys soon with some more content. I got Chasing Ghosts coming up tomorrow. The tax show, we are going back for the Action Hero tier list part 3. We got another selection of action heroes to go over for you, and Star Wars show every Sunday. And like I said, that Thursday dollar bin, you'll find out the winner of the giveaway for the 200th article for that series. And with that, thank you once again. I will see you guys soon with some more content. Later.